Hello and welcome to Chess Book Reviews 111. I hope you will like and subscribe. We're very short of members at the moment. We've only got 6. The other channel has got 165. Well, this is the new one, the only one that will expand. And we've only got half a dozen. Please like and subscribe. Today I want to look at 7 books, or even 6 books, and one other booklet by the American master, gone but not forgotten, Irving CHERNEV. Irving CHERNEV was a syndicated writer, I think I'm right in saying. He must also have learned early on how to polish his articles. This was published by Sir Isaac Pitman of London in 1947. Pitman did a small number of chess books, but some really good ones. But their name is forever associated with shorthand. And my mother was a secretary in the post-war era, and she would laugh if I recalled or linked her with Pitman shorthand. This is a pretty good book, I think. The average player who wants to improve his game knows he must learn the openings. But this process is often unrewarding and sometimes meaningless. Starts off from where better with the Ruy Lopez. See that? White's play. Hold it still, which most of the time I never can. It gives a nice bit of background. Grandmaster Akiba Rubinstein was caught in the milder form of the trap by Irving in 1928. Yes, it looks like a Noah's Ark. And if you don't know what a Noah's Ark is, I don't mean in the biblical sense, look it up. The 4 knights, the Ruy Lopez, lots and lots on the Lopez. Gio Cipriano, so from the Spanish game to the Italian. And then it goes on to lines in the French, lines in the center counter, so it goes on. This is a position I've studied a fair bit. The dreadful Alekhine was let loose on poor old Ron Bruce at Plymouth 1938. Lasker also administered this. Yeah. See that? The bishop entombed on h7. There we go. Winning chess traps. The next is possibly his last book. Oddly enough, it didn't receive that good reviews, but I like it. It's called The Golden Dozen, and it's the 12 greatest chess players of all time. When he delivered the text of this, he travelled from America to Oxford to give it to them. It has his 12 greatest chess players of all time are, I hesitate, Nimzovich, number 12, Rubinstein, number 11, counting down, Bronstein, number 10, Spassky, number 9, Smyslov, number 8, Town, number 7, Petrosian, number 6, that seems awfully high for Petrosian, 5 for Botvinnik, 4 for Fischer, 3 for Lasker, 2 for Alekhine, and 1 from J.R. Capablanca. So there we are. Who's this? Who's this? Do you know? I'll give you a clue. Ray Keane wrote a book about him. It is Aron Nimzovich. It's in descriptive notation, and it gives a little bit of biography and then a small number of good quality games with CHERNEV's light but not superficial notes. That's the point. Here we are again. Tigran Vantanovich. I'm told Petrosian was something of a comedian. I saw him a couple of times. Once at Bath and once at Hastings. He wasn't to live long. He wasn't to make old bones. But he was a fail-safe player, wasn't he? And he also turned in some wonderful... I think he was very happy playing in team events. And here is the Cuban Capablanca. Not looking that happy, but perhaps he knows he's got a long chess game ahead of him. And there's the very nice cover. I remember as a boy, I bought a copy of this, not this one. And the lady in the shop said, "What a nice book." Well, it is a nice book. The next book is not that readily available in England, but you can find a copy somewhere, I'm sure. The 1,000 Best Short Games of Chess. And here are two knights, not jousting with each other, but racing into infinity. A treasury of masterpieces. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff in here. Perhaps if you owned one of the 4 or 5 great chess libraries of the world, you could, by diligent search, find most or all of these delectable nuggets. But who has either the time or the assets? Well, there we are. A treasury of masterpieces in miniature. Hodder and Stoughton was the publisher. And it was first published in 1957. So this is a first edition. That doesn't make it greatly desirable. It just makes it a good book, which anybody might think. There's games here by every player imaginable from the first half, definitely from the first half of the 20th century. It doesn't have an index. I'm surprised. Oh well, be your own index by reading it all through. Be your own index. That beautiful though cruel device of sacrificing the queen to squeeze the king in so that he can hardly breathe, and having the knight execute a smothered mate is called Philidor's Legacy. Did you know that? I'll just read that again. That beautiful though cruel device of sacrificing the queen to squeeze the king in so that he can hardly breathe, when having the knight execute a smothered mate is called Philidor's Legacy. While the combination was known in this time, Morphy manages to give it an original twist of his own. And here we have a game from Paris, so therefore part of Morphy's European tour of 1859. There. What a beauty, eh? I came very early to this book. Here we have a Lewis Chessman on the cover, by the way. I came very early to this book. It was in Basingstoke Library. Nowadays, about 2 books in Basingstoke Library, both crap ones probably. But in those days, there was a full panoply. A merry collection of tales of chess and its players, together with a cornucopia of games, problems, epigrams, advice, topped off with the greatest game of chess, ever played. Selected, annotated, and brought together between two covers by Irving CHERNEV. He has been busy reproducing poems, short stories, you name it, they're all here. The poem about the King's Gambit, the tumbleweed, what is known as the tumbleweed. Last week in Seattle, with nothing to do, I went to a chess club and met a Jew, a youth from Orleans. No matter what name, perhaps you've met him or heard of the same. I will not go on, but I said, do you pay? He said, just a little. I said, sit yourself down and let's have a skittle. And I'll leave you. Now, what kind of a game do you say you call that? The King's Own, I replied. I'll bet you a hat you can't find it in any or all of your chess books. You have studied. You have studied. And I judge from his looks that he sometimes doubted when I told him the same with a notion of Pollux, who gave it that name. There we are. So we have reproductions of little short stories and also bits of whimsy, humour, and also chess instruction from the 19th century, and then some annotated games. Steinitz sacrificing his queen against somebody called Fischer. My word may be taken, that is not Bobby. Anderson playing Kaiseritsky. And a game I bet you've seen before. And Nimzovich playing Alapin at a game that I bet you haven't seen before. And so it goes on. Petrosian in 1955. All good stuff. More Petrosian games. And it gives some little facts. Mason made 144 moves in succession with his queen against Mackenzie at London in 1882. In 10 years of tournament and match play, Capablanca lost only one game. That's right, he did. From 1914 to 1924. The world record for checkmating an unprotected last rank is held by Paolo Boii, who won 9,647 games by this maneuver. And if you believe that, you believe anything. But it's just good fun. Some quotations. Chess is as much a mystery as women. You could argue with that. There we are. The Chess Companion. I've got a nice hardback edition. Not easy to come by. But I went to some lengths to get one. This book is in terrible condition because it's been read so much. The most instructive games of chess ever played. One thing is for certain, this concentrates very, very strongly on strategic aspects of chess rather than the nitty-gritty variations. Strong players probably can spot those for themselves, and weak players probably don't even dream that they're even there. But whether you dream or whether you don't. It's got a nice introduction, like that, like 60 memorable games. And it's got games throughout the 19th and 20th century. 62 games, I think it says, doesn't it? I think that's what I said. Index of openings, symphony of heavenly length, lured into a zumzwang. The king takes a walk. And no, this is not Nigel Short's game against Jan Timman. All good stuff. It's got a few photographs, not too many, but it's got some. Let me show you again the depth of commentary. There we are. Bits of prose, quotations, but also some serious stuff. A lot of older players will have copies of this in their libraries, And if you haven't got one, I very, very strongly recommend, don't take too much notice of the cover. If you don't like cartoons, I do like cartoons, but for all of that, it's a good book. It's a good book. Each of the games has a different theme, and each of the themes is explained. A picture of the young Tao who lost his hair. Looking serious-minded. Shall we say his thoughts for elsewhere? Now this is a book I don't know. I only bought this recently, so I'm not about to breeze through it and tell you all about it because I don't really know. Practical Chess Endings. It's Endgame Studies, I think. I think so. It gives you a position, then a little bit of commentary, and you have to work out what's happening. It's a little bit hard to show online because the diagrams are a bit small. But, it's got 299 positions, all from studies. Yes, it's all studies and problems. It's not games, but they show themes which are very well worth knowing, and which I recommend very strongly. So minor pieces and endings. Yes, obviously it's called Practical Chess Endings. In fact, it isn't Practical Chess Endings at all, is it? It's Problems and Studies. But anyway, it's impractical. It's also very interesting. This is a beautiful book. I came late to this book. What CHERNEV does is he gives the opening moves of Capablanca's games, but he concentrates mostly on the endings. And I wish more books could be written like this. Perhaps one day they will be. It's very, very nicely done. There's some lighter touch. You see the music there? The clefs, the staves. I don't know what I'm talking about technically. This is in long form algebraic. I can't quite think why he wanted to do that. Perhaps it wasn't his idea. But it's a good book. Gives Capablanca's games, some of which you would know, I like to think. Let's see how many there are. If that has any bearing, but it has a little bit. 60. Not the only book with 60 memorable games in it, is it? This was published by the Oxford University Press, where I sometimes used to go. Nice cover. The notes are light, for the accent is on the ending. Nice book. Nice book. I wish I had it in hardback. But nevertheless, for the experts amongst you, look at the depth of this discussion by old CHERNEV. He knew his onions, didn't he? Look at that. See? Right the way down the page. Woo-hoo. Look at that. That would take you a bit of time to go through, wouldn't it? Hope you enjoy it. Well, that was a brief 19-minute breeze through 7 books by the late US master Irving CHERNEV. I very much hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. Please like and subscribe down below. Cheers.